Hello, viewer, and welcome to this Clergy Appreciation Week. And today, Sunday, is the last program, and we want to appreciate very much you having joined us all the way from Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and today you are here, and our engagement is on innovation and tradition. Now, I don't know what you're thinking about when you hear that. But before we get to that, I just want to also encourage us. We still have some time. You can encourage your pastor, encourage your minister, because your encourager also needs encouragement. I mean, it's amazing because we are in the midst of a lot of technology right now. Lots of innovations, actually. That's where the church is planted, right in the midst of so much going on. This week, we just launched the 5G, system in terms of communication. Then we also are in the midst of CBC, which again is an innovation that's going on in terms of our education. The politicians are telling us that it's a new day for new kinds of politics. So many things going on. And also in terms of work, sometimes when you go to an interview now, you are negotiating for working from home. Hey, lots going on. But in the midst of all these things, where is the church? And we want you to tell us, you can comment on our social media pages there. Just comment about what you feel about the church and innovation. Do you feel like we are lagging behind? Do you feel like we are hacking it? And to help us in this discussion today, we have a wonderful, wonderful panel that have lots of views, lots of insights, and we want to welcome them. Welcome to this program, Clergy Appreciation. You guys look appreciated. You look good. You know. Yeah, you've been here. I mean, you look well. You look energized. I know you do a lot of work, but
yes.
I mean, we thank God for what you do.
Amen.
We totally thank God for what you do.
Amen.
Totally. It's a lot of work. And so we want to welcome from right here, Reverend Elosi Kamau. Welcome to this conversation.
Thank you.
We want to welcome also Reverend Dr. Kamau Thairo. Welcome to this conversation.
No relations.
Yeah, the surname is different.
Okay, yeah. It's good to know. And also want to welcome Reverend Emmanuel Nkwetiku again to this program. Thank you for coming.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, I just want you to introduce yourselves to our viewers, not just your names now, but where you serve, right? And as you tell us where you serve, I would also want you to tell us, do you consider yourself, in terms of ministry, consider yourself conservative? Do you consider yourself liberal? Do you consider yourself progressive? Elosi.
Okay. As Reva said, I'm Elosi Kadhomi Kamau. I'm currently serving in Jerusalem Parish in Nakuru East Presbytery, way deep into the Rift Valley. And it's a parish with 4 congregations, which is a blend of urban and semi-urban. So we have both and a little bit of rural. So we are having all that mixed into one. And so you can imagine you have to be really innovative. Because once you move from one congregation going to the other, there is no one thing that can fit all of them. And in terms of innovation and tradition, I would say I think I'm a mix of everything, because it depends with what tradition are we talking about. Which generation is determining the tradition. Because if we say about being Scottish where PCA started, then I think I didn't experience much of that. And I can say I blend all of that. So maybe the progressive side, I think I tend to lean more on that. I accept everything, but more of the contemporary side of it. Yes.
All right. So you're contemporary.
Yeah, I think I am.
That's good. I think it's a very good way of articulating yourself. And when you're contemporary, you're progressive, right?
Yes.
Great. Yeah. Reverend Doctor.
Oh, my name is Kamau Thairo.
Yeah.
Sisi ndio wenye jiji. We serve in the CBD, Mangani Parish. We manufacture shembeteng. And
what is that?
Oh, shembeteng. Ukitoa za macho revu nitakuwa. But we serve in Pangani, we praise God.
Yes.
In terms of my ministry and approach to theology, I'm not sure what they say I am, but I think I'm very conservative.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. I mean, the Scottish roots that you're talking about not being familiar.
They're here.
Here they are.
They're here. I think I need to go back and get some.
Yeah. But we want to hear what the people yourself say.
Yes.
Some could be shocked. Did he say he is conservative?
Totally
But we appreciate that.
Yes.
We appreciate that.
Yes.
Great. Yeah. And you're welcome to this conversation.
And we appreciate you for hosting us.
Yeah, thank you. You're welcome. Reverend Emmanuel.
Hello, first. My name is Emmanuel, as it's been said. Thank you very much for hosting us. I serve the Lord God in Mokinye Parish, that is in Githurai 45, right at the heart of Githurai.
Ndio wanauza mutura na
Yes, that's where Cathedral is. Interesting. Githurai is a very amazing place. We have everyone in the world. We got traditional people, we got modern people, we got vernacular services, we got English services. So it's an interesting place. And so that's where we serve God, and we are grateful. As far whether I'm conservative, progressive, or trendy, I think I'm there in the middle. I wouldn't want to say I'm very conservative like him. I think I like change, and so I'm in between. They're progressive.
Okay.
When some traditions don't seem like they are working, I would rather cross to the contemporary side. When some contemporaries are challenging my theology, I get back to my PP.
So you're not fully converted. You keep, going back and forth.
I keep on balancing. I keep on balancing between which one applies, which one is relevant to the people of Githurai.
A great situational minister. Right?
Absolutely.
All right. And we still are in the post-COVID season.
Yes.
And one of the areas when we talk about innovation was in the COVID season. And I remember getting a lot of instruction and encouragement that now this is not business as usual. I remember being encouraged from different corners to be as innovative as possible. The more innovative you are, the more celebrated you are, right, during the COVID time. And I'm sure you also in your ministries were in the same position. Yeah. Now, this is what I want us to just tell our viewers today. Let's start from Reverend Emmanuel right there. Are there some things that you considered innovations or innovative that you started out during the COVID time and you're still doing them today?
Thank you very much, Reverend Dr. Edward. When COVID came, it actually hit us very much and found us quite unaware that things can actually change at a speed in which you could not comprehend. And therefore, we were forced to be innovative, whether you liked it or not. We had online sermons going on because churches were closed. That is still on. We still have online services going on. So we didn't leave them after COVID. We came with them. Now COVID came and we had to introduce new ways of having Holy Communion. We have not abandoned them. We are still there going on with them. Even in terms of probably even fellowships, when COVID came, people are still a bit skeptical on how many people who gather in a room. We have not yet fully gotten back to our traditional time and our traditional activities. So yes, there are things that we innovated, and now they are still going on, even in after post-COVID session. It taught us. Finally, even the issue of technology, the issue of giving, most of the churches, including ours, we introduced pay bills, POS machines. We are still doing them. They are still in our churches. Now we are going on to a cashless society, where now even members come to churches with ATMs. And finally, we are used traditionally to be told, put your phones off in church. We are no longer having that. It's put your phones on friendly mode. That's an innovation.
Because
now That's where the Bible is. That's where the offering is.
The
offering is
also.
the phone.
Yeah.
So
Your notebook.
that's where your notebook is. That's where your diary is. That's where your alarm is.
Yes.
And so now we've seen a lot of information, and we have carried them after COVID to post-COVID.
Let's deal with his memory before we come to yours. Let's engage it a little bit, because I went to a church whereby they've gone a little more. They don't just say put your phone on friendly mode. They went ahead. They go ahead and say when the preaching is on, they say please turn on your phone. Should he hear anything nice from me as a minister, then tweet it.
Oh,
Wow.
Anything? Yes.
Oh, yes.
Facebook
As
it.
it's-
Because I am one preacher. But if you're 400 here, you become 400 preachers.
We should get that.
I mean,
Isn't it
exactly. So anyway, just to mention that. And let's stay with the Bible. I mean, the Bible, because we're used to, in our churches, reading, the written book,
Yes,
as
the hard
we know
copy.
it. But now we find young people going up there and they have their phones when they're doing the Bible reading.
Yes.
I mean, how do you receive that?
First, let's put it this way, that innovation is only sustained where survival is threatened. And the innovations that happened during the COVID, they are likely to fizzle out, because now we're back to factory setting. So the intensity with which churches had invested in technology, Zoom meetings, online fellowship, online church, now that we even have forgot, do you even remember there is COVID? We don't remember. So we are likely to see the church going back to their factory setting. Zero innovation. Now, as to moving on to electronic Bibles and what, it's good to be trendy. But my concern and my worry with that kind of innovation is the internalizing of that word.
Yeah.
The internalizing. Because people now come, and the pride that comes with faith, people come, everything is there, like the Holy Communion liturgy is there, you don't internalize it. You remember when we were young and we are going for the communion liturgy, there are places you hit your chest, you recite the 10 Commandments. Do our children know these things? So we actually, as we do the innovation, we must be careful we don't lose the faith.
Okay.
In theological study, we call it the orality of faith. That we can, it is in our mouths, not in our gadgets. So I think that is, as we adopt these innovations, we must not forget the internalizing part of it.
Okay.
So cashless is okay. I love the electronic Bible. I preach with the verses broadcast. I have my iPad swag, and I'm preaching
As you swipe.
as a swag.
Yeah.
So technology, we have to learn, we have to adopt that technology.
Okay.
And the church should be a very good consumer of technology that enhances evangelism and the experience of God.
Okay, we'll stay with you. We're
Yes,
still
yes.
going to come to your memory of COVID,
Yes.
right? Let's come to Reverend LOC.
Yes.
Some memory you have of things you've carried forward from COVID.
With COVID, actually, I felt like I've been thrown into something I was not prepared for. Because when it came to my realization that now, I remember the whole thing happened like on a Saturday, and on Sunday, you had everything set up. And then all of a sudden, it's like you're being told, you can't go to preach, you have to make create a WhatsApp group, go to Facebook, send a message. And the first thing was like, am I supposed to robe? Because I was already prepared. Yes.
Yes.
Am I supposed to robe? Do I have my collar?
Yeah.
And then at that time, actually, I also got to realize niconophobia ya TV. Yes, I like the radio more than the TV. So I was like, how do I record this? What if I mess up? Actually, I recorded like 3 times. And I'm like, no, I'm not sending
Like
this.
testing 1, 2, 3.
Yes. So setting 1, setting 2, take 1, take 2. And then I said, no, let me just type it. It's better that way. Let me just type the message. But then I realized that typing and everything, they need to hear your voice. At times they need to see you. They need to know that our minister is still there. She's still healthy. She's still here with us. And so to like do all that, I had to get out of that comfort zone. And the WhatsApp groups that we created, some of them, the Jerusalem devotionals are still going on, but on Facebook, whereby actually I'm the one who created the Jerusalem one, immediately we went back to the factory setting you're talking about. I think I have not posted in a very long time. And then I also came up with this thing on YouTube. And I really wanted to address the mental issues and everything. And then after doing the first episode, the second one, the third one, I realized, okay, the entire world is watching. And I hibernated.
Oh.
So for, I don't know how long, it has been inactive.
Consider your ways. Consider your ways.
That is a very reversed way of thinking, because you'd think like the whole world is watching. Hey, let me be big on this.
She loves
It's like,
radio.
oh, the world is
She
watching.
loves radio,
Shrunk
not
back
TV.
home. Maybe we should change it to the whole world is listening.
Oh, yes, that we should.
I think even my coming here was one of the ways to, I really appreciate this, because it has helped me to like face it.
Overcome the phobia.
Yes, overcome the phobia and face it and be like,
You should send
yes.
a fat offering to Rev.
Yes.
bring the pay bill.
No, I think we'll set the machine. We'll set the machine, yes. Anyway, that's thank you for sharing that.
Yes.
About how, even personally as a minister, you had to grow to some levels.
I had to.
You had to confront some personal
Yes.
phobias
Yes.
in the journey of innovation.
I had
right?
to. I had to face
Reverend
it
Dr.
real.
Kamau,
Yes.
memories you have, things you've carried forward from COVID, or are you back to factory settings happily?
I'm back to factory settings. But for me, the close to half year was, it's closed on a Saturday. No, actually a circular came from the then SG, Reverend Kanya, on a Thursday. Then the whole nation, the government followed on Saturday. So on Sunday there is no one in church. And we have to preach. So we took a phone and I'm robed in church. We have 2 elders and I am preaching. And I have to preach as if nothing has happened. For me, the greatest memory is first to encourage myself. That even though the church pews are empty, people are still listening. That's one. 2 was an online fellowship on Tuesday. To convince myself that I need to do that online fellowship on Tuesday. I think the greatest innovation was finding a way to encourage myself. I have to minister during this time. That's 1. 2. At this time as well, you see, we are told COVID hits where people are crowded. And where I serve, even now, is crowded. I mean, every day is a public gathering for us. It's predominantly in the slum. So how will you not go to minister to these people? And it's COVID, and this virus spreads in crowded places. So that courage to still go and minister to them, I think for me, on my end, was really something, how I encouraged myself. By the way, I can't remember when I encouraged myself before. That was 1. 2 was one time we informally met as elders, and the elders proposed, why don't we call every member? So we did that, we called. So I call a member and she calls back. She asks me, Rev, I don't have food, but I know before we closed the churches, we used to give offering. Can I borrow some of the offering to go buy food? And that hit me. So what we did was, someone gave me an idea. You see, we were being told not to go to the barber's shop. So I really had big hair and big beard. I was Father Abraham.
Yeah.
So someone said, we have never seen you in a big beard and you look like Father Abraham. So and that person was very disturbed. I said, aha, this is how I raise money for food in the parish. I will not shave until I get 30,000. And people, in 2 days we raised 25,000.
They wanted you to shave.
Yeah, they wanted
We want our pastor back.
Yes. So I think that kind of raising, I think that was an innovation, a memory I even carry to date. That shaving my hair and my beard, by the way, I had thought of remaining that way. That kind of thing would raise money for food. I think That's a memory of innovation.
Yeah.
I want to carry.
And you remember it.
Yes.
And in a way, you broke some, you got to some distance that you had not been before, just like Reverend Elosi here. Now, let's reflect a little bit on the mainstream church, which prides in tradition, right? And order, right? Now, here's tradition and order on one side. But there's also now, we live in a context of innovation, things moving very fast. Actually, the world we're living in now is more proud of things moving fast than staying the same. Now, I want you to just give the viewers there your understanding of or the relationship between tradition and innovation. Let's start with you, Reverend Elosi.
The relationship between tradition and innovation. I was thinking about all these, and I said, innovation has many faces. It's not just about the technology, because technology is here to stay. Things are going to change. Maybe we are headed to having robots being ordained, maybe.
Breaking the bread.
And having it break the bread and all that.
That's a fantastic idea for the person with 12 congregations.
Yes.
Ordaining a robot.
You said one robot for this one.
And you just tell them, you stand there until now you have somebody controlling them, and then you tell them, okay, lift up the bread, and you break. And then, I don't know how it is going to take the bread itself, because you have to eat and give the others. That one will come as part of the innovation. But also in...
Now the robot will say, I've already eaten.
Maybe it's going to respond.
I have already eaten.
And then
you go ahead.
And so even as we look at the technology side, we need to ask ourselves, because there is how we've been handling issues in the church traditionally. For example, when we look at the pastoral session, whereby the members are going to come and they are, gotten back into the full membership and all that for various reasons, we need to ask ourselves some of the reasons that made them get to that point. How are we going to handle them? Do we still ask the same questions that generations ago were being asked in the pastoral session? You may ask a question, yes, you've had the first and the second that child. Whose child is this? That can be a little bit embarrassing for somebody, because they are coming here to be healed. They are coming here to be attended to. They are coming here to be shown this is the right path. Do I still sit and ask the same questions? We need to be innovative in how we handle the pastoral session, the questions that we ask, and how we follow thereafter to make sure that they stay within that line. If somebody comes and tells me, Rev, we've been married for like 20 years, we've had no child, can we go for the IVF? Can we do surrogacy? Health issues. What about the politics that we have? Do we remain with the tribal politics? He's a Kikuyu, he's a Masai, I'm a Meru, you're a Luya. How do we bring in this aspect of telling our members we can still be Kenyans and still maintain my identity, still maintain me being that girl from that Geshegi in Meru, and still be proud of it, but we come together as Kenyans and do politics on ideas and how we are going to do it. We have the young people. Today my son will ask me, you are a Meru, our dad is a Kikuyu, what am I? Tamwambia we ni Mwembu, because iko katikati ya Meru na Kikuyu. Iko katikati. Unamwambia we ni Nyandarua. We have to be very innovative on how we handle the current issues.
Okay. Now,
not only on technology.
I think that you help us greatly here by separating two streams of innovation. The technology or the means of ministry, and now the content of ministry, which is the pastoral issues that you're talking about. And let's stay with the pastoral issues a little bit before we talk about the robots and the drones, right? Because we're going to talk about that.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
To the
let's talk about that, because there's quite a number of contemporary issues that we have traditional responses to. And they had been theologized and completed.
And
take, for instance, mental health issues. If the person who commits suicide. Can you comment about that, Dr. Harry?
Let me begin it from a little far. And I want to begin by first defining the organization, for lack of a better word. The organization we're discussing, it's the church. And the church has two aspects to it. There is the social aspect. It's an institution made up of human beings. There is the spiritual aspects. In other words, there is God in it. So we're talking about the social institution and the spiritual institution. Now, innovation with regard to content. As we are right now, the greatest innovation of the church is how it responds to the pastoral concerns of its people. Let me illustrate. Scholars ask, how come a sect of Judaism in 200 years became a dominant religion? And the answer is always one. Because it responded to the basic questions of life. Now, as at present, Christianity is dying, so to speak. Even our church is dying. And it is because in a very secular environment, the church is not giving answers. I've tried looking for a baby for 20 years. You're telling me to pray. I have prayed, I have fasted, I have planted a seed, I have redeemed, I have... Yet I still don't have a child. And the church is still telling me, pray. And there's IVF, there's surrogacy. So, if the church is not going to respond to the basic questions of life, people now have money. When we were growing up, you will become valuable if you have money. We now have money. And we have reached at that point where we are saying vanity of vanity. We have the money, we have the cars, and the church is not responding to those. So, the greatest innovation where she's coming in is with the content to answer the contemporary questions. Questions of value, the meaning of life, questions of faith, questions. So that is regard to innovation. The content. There is no problem in order. Actually, if you look at what people are looking for now, because right now we have people, they're coming to church committed, but they're also going elsewhere. They're looking for order, tradition. But the problem with tradition in church is that we have become too lazy and so complacent to the extent, instead of honor perpetuating life, tradition now is about noise. Think about an ordinary church service. The songs even we sing, I can predict the songs that will be sung in Dome on Sunday. You have an English service. Jehovah, you are a mighty God. Mambo sawa sawa. And again, looking for God. I can predict up to 90% what the preachers will preach on Sunday. 7 keys to blessing. We are not answering the key questions of life, the practical bit. Here I am. I spent a whole week struggling with my boss at work because the numbers are not adding up in terms of profit. On Sunday, when I should be refreshed with things of heaven and here on earth, on Sunday I'm still being reminded, by the way, you haven't paid your offering properly, and therefore says haija ja vizuri.
Yeah, I totally appreciate that view that it's about being solutionist.
Yes.
It's about knowing the questions.
Yes.
And knowing that as you stand there as a leader, you are a solution giver, right? Let's just, we'll come back to you.
Yes,
we'll come back to you. And because just drawing from that, we are almost from what Dr. Terry has expounded to us. We are almost now thrust into a place where we are totally open. And so, Reverend Emmanuel, can you maybe tell us how we understand in this context now the call of Jesus who says, come to me all?
Thank you. Tradition has remained with us, and it will remain with us. What is happening is innovation is seriously attacking tradition, since it is purporting to meet the needs that we have now. So now and all of us would want that call of Jesus, come, come. We want a place to go. We want a place where my disease can be healed. I want a place where my cancer can be addressed to. So if this tradition is not addressing my cancer, why would I remain there?
Go for where it's
You see,
addressed.
maybe as Presbyterians, it is good to ask ourselves, why is it that if today you open a branch of Presbyterian church at Githurai, and I love this guy, but let me just use him. I know you're on TV, but Nganga comes and opens his, he will get a greater following than me.
Of course.
With his guitar.
With his guitar. He will just need to manipulate a few of demons.
Yeah.
And then of all my members, it's also true to know.
Who unto you if
Yes.
your midweek service is on Wednesday at 5 and his is on Wednesday at 5?
At 5.
You're done for it. So in relation to what Jesus is asking, we need to have that call. Are our people getting somewhere? Is tradition becoming a safe place for us? Is also innovation becoming a safe place for us? Because we must also remember that I have seen that sometimes old people would go to other churches and then they would come to PCA. So when I'm older, I would want to retire here. Retire here. When you've gone, you want to come back here. Probably there's something you've not found there. That call that come to me, you have not known where to go. So we need to come up with something with a theology that is going to answer the call of Jesus. And it is now evident that neither tradition, neither innovation is sufficiently answering this call.
You know, it's interesting because some people might say that part of our tradition is innovation, right? Innovation is part of our tradition.
Which is correct. But that tradition answered questions then.
Yeah.
Now we are in a different place. You see, one of the challenges, let me begin with where he started and the question that you prompted him with, the call of Jesus to come on. You see, when Jesus calls all of us, he's calling us to unconditional love, but not unconditional approval. There's some things you have to let go, which is what the church, we are stuck at. We think by unconditionally loving everyone, then it means we accept everything. Innovation does not mean we accept everything. It means we take that which communicates the mysteries of the kingdom and answers the questions of life here on earth. You see, Christ said, I came that you may have life and life in abundance. So every innovation must, the way I interpret that text, life is life here on earth, life in abundance is in heaven. So every innovation has to respond to the question of life here on earth. I live well. And by the way, I don't know, our church has been a trendsetter. Let me just highlight to 1919, 1920. In Kenya, bodies were not being buried. In the Church of Scotland, Mission the Water, it was introduced after there was a plague. I mean, burying is not African. They were being left out, fed into the hyenas. So that was a great innovation to resolve a problem then. The fight against FGM, that was a very great innovation. To the extent, I hear history has it that when the men became too resistant, they were told, please bring one of your daughter, we will conduct the FGM, and you watch. And after they watched, they said, Wachaikai. See, our church has been very innovative. But I think when the church became financially secure, we stopped thinking about innovation to deliver the mysteries of Christ to the people.
Okay. Yeah. And I think that, staying with the theme of, because we're talking about the spiritual side, answering the questions of the people, and we as a church, being innovative in that way. Now, tradition now wants us to standardize that. Right? Now, in Jerusalem, the people who you're telling to come are of different kinds.
Yes.
In Pangani, the people who are coming are of different kinds. In Mukinye, the people who are coming are of different needs. So, but tradition will try to standardize that. Can you, Reverend Elsie, can you maybe just speak to that attempt to standardize as compared to letting Pangani free, to let people come and solve the solutions and have the solutions as the people come.
I think I will just combine with what my colleagues have said, that when we say, Jesus said, let us, come to me, all you who are heavy laden. When he was finalizing everything and just before he left, he said, go. And he said, I have, given you the power. The same power that raised me, the same power that brought me here, the same power that carried me for the 3 years. I have given you that power. Go in that power and spread the gospel. So when we stay traditional and say, let us just wait for them to come. Let us wait for these babies to be born and we are going to grow the church. Unless we
Can I shout an amen?
You can join in, yes.
Unless we accept us as a church, that tradition that of sitting here and waiting for the members to come is not going to work in this world. It is not going to work in this generation. We have to just take that last commission and go out in the power of Christ, in the knowledge of Christ, in everything that is Christ, and go out and look for them.
Okay.
And even
But
tell them,
where should we go? Where should we go? And we have met the cess with the few we have.
Exactly. That is where we are stuck.
No, that's.
Oh, please, I'm shouting. I shouldn't have shouted.
Yeah, I mean, let's you brought that very important perspective there, and that's exactly where innovation comes in. Because as you go, you don't know whom you meet.
Yeah.
Exactly.
You don't know whether the person will accept,
and you have to
what kind of what's the liturgy when you meet the person who is having something. What liturgy will you use?
This person is
a research.
So the going, how it's pretty
a
liberal thing when you hear you go. You don't know who you're going to meet.
You have to be very creative.
Actually, a research done by one of the colleagues, by our senior colleagues, the current SG. The conclusion was, the church as we are now in Nairobi, to be specific, because that is where he did his research, we need to re-evangelize.
Yes.
Because they already evangelized too, they know Christ, they come to church, but they have now become too lazy.
Yes.
They have started forgetting faith. Because from what she says, if innovation does not push the church to go, then it is no innovation.
It is not innovation anymore.
Wow.
It is not.
I think that's why I said amen. I think that was.
And I think when the church goes and it meets the society, the questions of society, only the bold church will keep going.
That's right.
Because the church that is kind of a bit
just sitting there and
shaky
waiting for them
will come back. Back to the old place, because the safe place, and that's quite something. Because when you think about
this, think about this. Our young men, 2 years ago, there was a report by the Nation newspaper. Someone placed an advert somewhere in town that Illuminati is recruiting, and they gave the number for the reception of Nation newspaper. So one day, the Nation newspaper phone is jammed, and they're asking, why are you calling us? And people are saying, no, we got this phone, we were told if you want to join the Illuminati, you can call this number. And some were so desperate, they wanted to even offer their brothers as a sacrifice, to just illustrate how they're serious. That's one. Two, look at the men, especially in Central Kenya, going back to tradition. Look at, there was a story about Freemason the other day, and people are asking, hey, how do we join this thing? Is that the same reaction to church? No. No. Because we have gotten comfortable, we never go.
We don't reach out to them.
We don't go.
And you see, what you talked about, Reverend Kwechuku, about innovation challenging tradition.
Yes.
It's actually right there in the Great Commission. Because as you go, that's where you get the continuing revelation. And I think that's a very interesting place when you think about it. And I want you to tell us from your experience, in terms of the ministry, in terms of pastoral care. It doesn't have to come from your church; it can come from your church. What are some of the places you have seen that these places, our current tradition, will not hack?
Thank you.
These places, we need something new.
There are so many places. First of all, let me begin by saying, I think the writings are on the wall. It is either we innovate tradition or we die.
Wow.
We have no choice. It is either we innovate our traditions or we die. One time, somebody asked me, must I get married? And that's another area that the church must focus on it and find out how do we retain marriages in this world now. Because it is now obvious, from where I grew, particularly in Kajiado, there was no girl that could not get married. There was no. All
By
women,
force, by fire.
Yes, by force, by fire. but now, things have changed. We are having so many single ladies at home.
And they are comfortable.
And they are comfortable. They are okay. They are driving. Isn't it a time that the church address that a factor itself? Even the factor of pastoral care in itself. How do we offer, for example, there's this challenging issue now that is happening with PCMF most of the time. Now, the church tradition says when you marry out of the church, it is the woman that can be given Holy Communion and not the man. And the man is saying, I'm the Presbyterian. I actually married her at SEK. And I brought her Presbyterian. Now, you, pastor, you are giving her Holy Communion and you are denying me. And I'm the one who brought her.
What happened?
What is the criteria?
Yes,
What
yes.
is the theology behind it?
Yes.
All right? The things that the church must wake up and address. Must address our pastoral work. Must address marriages. It must even address even the theology of work. Theology of work must be addressed by the church now. It is now obvious that everybody, does something.
Okay.
We have come from a tradition probably where even working in church was meant to be volunteer.
Yes.
That no longer works.
A lot of things going on there, Reverend. Lots of things. But we have a few minutes. Believe it or not, we have a few minutes. And I still want you to, all of you, have an answer in your mind for our viewers. What would how drones help ministry? Just keep that in your mind. But before we get there, young people are leaving the church, as we have mentioned.
Yes.
But young people also are the source, the greatest resource of innovation and newness, inevitable, innovation and newness. What should we do about that, Reverend?
Let me begin from something that changed my perspective this year. In the month of July. In the month of July, by God's grace, I got involved in the National Youth Summit that was at Chogoria.
And you did a great job.
By the grace of God.
Yes. It's Clergy Appreciation Week, I should appreciate.
Yes, but I can tell you,
Yes.
it changed. Probably it changed me more than they changed. I don't know. But it changed my perspective. And I was very afraid during the planning stage with the direction the director had taken. It was heavy stuff, and he had set very high standard for the conference. And I was very afraid. I was even afraid with the disciplinary demands he had placed even before the youth had come. I was very afraid. So I go to the conference for 3 days, and the youth are not leaving the tent. No one is asking them to come back to the tent. When they go for break, what you say is, please come back. No one. The service, the evening service is ending at 10. At 10, the preacher is still preaching. They are still seated.
Amen.
That changed. So the question for me was, what is so different with this that is not offered in other places or even in our churches? One, it was content. It was very well thought out. You see, these young people are exposed with a lot of information. But they are looking for someone to systematize it for them and tell it to them coherently. And not only that, be an example, a readable letter to them. That's why you see the young people in the church, they will tell you, sasa mnaniambia niokoke na huyu elder tunashindanaga na yeye kule loft. LC doesn't know loft.
No. I'm not it's just a program.
See you behind the tent.
She thrives in Jerusalem.
She thrives in Jerusalem.
So mchungaji tunashindana na yeye. So content, that's number one. Number two, these young people are looking for a stabilizing factor. One, it is at their developmental stage when they're looking for identity. That's one. Two, we are living in a relative world where nothing is never too stable. Three, we are moving in a very fast world. So they're looking for the church as a stabilizing factor. Unfortunately, when they also come to church, especially as Presbyterians, we add to the confusion. They wanted to come to church and they are taught discipline. But we tell them, come as you are. But they were looking for discipline. That's why they are leaving church and going to the cults. Because in the cults, they get the stabilizing factor. So why are the young people leaving church? One, content. Two, the church is no longer a stabilizing factor. On issues which he raised about marriage, what are we telling them about marriage? On issues of work, what are we telling them about work? On issues of money, on issues of their sexuality. These days they are saying, and the church seems to agree with them, that you can't drive a car without test driving.
Road test.
Lazima uipeleke road test. And the church seems to be, so that we don't lose them, we seem to agree with them.
Yeah.
So we are losing our youth when we are not a stabilizing factor. They will hate us for that season.
And I would say that maybe it's because we don't know the questions they're asking. And therefore we aren't answering them.
We are not answering
We are not
them.
even
So we
prepared to
are
answer them.
imagining
Yes.
what they want.
Actually,
but we do not know exactly what they
Actually,
want.
we are still teaching them peer pressure.
Yeah.
Adolescents. What are these
They
things?
moved on. They
And
moved
they
on
get
away from that.
They moved
I
on
mean,
from-
it's, yeah, I think
Wamefunzwa kwa CBC already.
on these pastoral issues, because we have like 5 minutes.
Oh my God. Can we open server to establish if it is 5 minutes? we need that for me.
I know this is totally unfair to you, Reverend Elosi. You can do this in a minute, but you can respond. The persons who are divorced in the church, how far should we go in terms of supporting them? How far should we go in terms of inclusion?
One, I think we, as a church, we need to really, before we condemn them, let us try to understand what is happening. There is a big rise in domestic violence and other issues that are really affecting their families. And so we need to really raise these issues. I always say in Jerusalem, there are issues we cannot even speak on the pulpit, and we have shied away from talking about them openly, but it's affecting the ministers, it's affecting the elders, it's affecting the members, it's affecting everyone. So we need to find a new way of trying to understand them, what they are going through, what led to that. We walk with them on a journey. Don't stand on the pulpit and condemn them because they have been divorced. For example, we know what the PP says about those who are clergy, those who are student ministers, concerning divorce. It's not allowed, traditionally. But then, what if somebody is a victim? Should we just condemn them to stay in there, to die, and then we go and bury them, and because she was a woman killed person, we say she has need to get authority. What do we say in that in English? She's a warrior.
Victorious.
Yes. But the truth is, she was not. She didn't win. She was forced to cross over before the time. I wish I can use the Kikuyu. Even the Kimeru hapa inapotea. But the thing is, we need to understand the issues that bring up this thing.
No, can you tell us, in terms of that matter, how inclusive should we? Should we be totally inclusive, or should we set boundaries? Just one answer.
What? Okay. We need to be inclusive in that we don't know what they have gone through.
All right.
Yes.
Now, well put. Drones, in 1 minute, Ren Kwetiko. What would be a use, if you were given a drone today in Mukini, what would you do with it in 1 minute?
It's a challenge. I must accept. For one, what technology is also doing, it is reducing our personal contact. It is reducing effect of the ministry. And in short, makes ministry mechanical.
Okay.
Not
All right.
spiritual.
You have a drone. You've been given. I mean, a mission organization has said, we have drones. And it comes to Pangan. What did you use it for?
Put it at the gate to receive people. Nothing more.
A drone?
Yeah.
Okay.
To show direction.
To show
That's a
direction.
robot. That's a robot. Oh.
Yeah, because I am of the school of
All
thought.
right. Okay.
Ministry is very personal.
Yes.
Put it at the gate.
One-on-one.
We'll talk about that. And I hope Clergy will give us another time to clarify about drones. You have a drone, Reverend LOC. What do you do with it?
I think I'll just switch it off.
Oops. Viewer.
Oh.
What do I do with it? It's just hovering here.
I mean, this is Clergy Appreciation Week. We just need to appreciate these wonderful servants of God for bringing to us a very honest conversation, and also opening our eyes to new frontiers in terms of our technology understanding, in terms of our pastoral understanding, and that's really the big place, the spiritual aspect. What questions are people asking, and how are we answering them? And are we embracing, discovering new ways of answering new questions? Thank you for lots of feedback. We were not able to engage it, but we really appreciate. Let's keep up the conversation in our social media pages. Again, thank you so much for joining us. This is CAC TV, Clergy Appreciation Week, and keep appreciating your pastor, because your encourager also needs encouragement. Have a good night.